Namaste and welcome everyone. It is me, Nina Sachs from Yoga Awakening Africa, and today I am delighted to be chatting with Delphine de Hoop, who is my exciting, interesting guest, originally from Belgium, with a little bit of a French twang in there. So Delphine, welcome, and how are things going in Lakeside?
Namaste, Nina. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very excited about this exchange. Things are going well. So I just moved to Lakeside and I'm feeling quite excited because I would love to bring more community yoga and body somatic based practices to the space, just taking the time to weave myself there. Yeah, everything's good.
Awesome. So tell me, Delphine, how how did you get into yoga? Pretty much, like that's always like my favorite thing. Like, what got you into yoga? What got you hooked to yoga? Why did you carry on with yoga? Why are you now still teaching yoga?
Well, to be raw and honest in integrity, because that is a space that I believe in. I actually started yoga because I was very conscious of my body. So from all my teenage years, I was like between a lot of sports and having eating disorder and not wanting to be so thick and very aware of like, where am I taking this body? And so I always had an intense physical activity. And so yoga came into this space because I started to have back issues and I had that pain in my back. And then someone gave me a video and said, try this. And I tried it and the pain was gone. So I redid the video the next day and I carried on with that home practice. And that's how I got into yoga actually. And I was just like so happy of how my body was also developing and getting thinner. And so, but not in the idea of it had to be like non-existent. It was just kind of falling into place very gently. But that's something that we can talk about later. But so yes, eating disorder also were getting me into yoga at that stage.
Okay. And you were saying that like a friend had given you a video of yoga. Do you still like remember that video? Were there like
Oh yeah.
parts in there that are still like standing out in your mind that you like there's usually a sentence or a phrase or something that often stands out for someone. Was there something that's like stood out for you with that video that you'll never ever forget?
So that video was so funny because it was a video from the 80s. So cheeky. And then the one thing that he said was really like the connection with the breath and the fact of not pushing further so that we could get back on the mat the next day. And so that's also what helped me right from the beginning have a very consistent practice and have that relationship with myself of where am I at, and to not push further past the edge, but to just be on the edge. And so yeah, that's I think the main teaching I would take from that video. I mean, sometimes I will still do that video because I think it's power yoga. It was Brian Kest. I don't know if you know him,
Okay.
American. Yeah.
So a power, and how long was that video?
45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, good. Interesting. And with that, did that kind of like spark your love for this idea of looking? Because I know you're in Ashtanga yoga. That's kind of like the realm that you've gone into. So with Brian's work, kind of like with the power yoga, how did you kind of like transition from that into finding or exploring different styles and then settling on Ashtanga yoga? What was the transition there for you?
So I think with that practice, I also started exploring the yoga studios in the places where I found myself. So I traveled quite a bit across Europe and the United States. So I would just go to different classes. And then it was also the time where we were starting to be on Instagram and all of that was starting to come out. So I had that account on Instagram and I was like, okay, looking at what people were out there and were doing out there. And there was a woman called Kino who was also promoting Ashtanga quite a lot. So I think I liked
Kino
her
McGregor,
devotion
she's
to
very
practice.
vulnerable and she's very open about kind of like her journey in life and what she's going through.
Yes, her devotion to the practice, and the fact that this is the centerpiece of her life. And she also helped me bring meditation as part of a daily routine. So I think, but I've never followed her classes for a reason. The way she teaches, her voice just is a bit too far off my edge. And so I found these old videos of Sharat, who was practicing the primary series, and I understood like the way of like going progressively and not pushing and just letting the practice come to you rather than trying to get there, and not having, I mean, this was a very private space. I would do that at 5 a.m, and no one was invited there. That was like my healing space. And so I did that for a while, and then my mom came to me and was like, why don't you get a yoga teacher training, if it's so important for you? So then I found one in Brussels, Belgium, where I was, and it was an Ashtanga teacher training. So I jumped in there and then I started teaching.
Amazing, amazing. And kind of like with the what you were talking about, kind of like, being on social media, having inspired by Instagram, that's what I was getting at, and kind of like influences in there. I think it's really important nowadays to realize, like, like our mentors or our role models or people that we look up to, they don't necessarily have to be like people in real life that we know. We can actually really get inspiration from influencers out there in media who inspire us to be better, to do better, to take action, and whatever it is. So I really found it interesting that you found that inspiration with Kino, but then when you like looked into her and her classes and just not resonating kind of like, either with specifically like the way she teaches or her voice or what it is, but still being able to take the essence out from the benefits of what she's promoting out there to influence you. So I just wanted to like tap on that aspect of like having being influenced by others out there that maybe we don't see in our day-to-day, our day-to-day lives. So yeah.
I'm so grateful for the work that people do when they put themselves out there, and I am, because I also know how hard it can be at times. So yes, Kino, she had a whole following of like, when it was in kind of the beginning of her journey. So she had a whole community that she was really nurturing. She was writing like poetry. She was really giving a lot, and I still check every now and then today to kind of see, because she still shares very clearly where she's at, and I find that fascinating. But then, it's also important for me to take what works, and to maybe, if it doesn't, I'll still resonate with what works, but I will try and find what works for me somewhere else. And it's fine that maybe someone is an inspiration and someone else is a teacher.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, kind of like, because you were on your Ashtanga yoga journey and kind of like being in Belgium, then like stepping into an Ashtanga yoga teacher training course. And I think that's really important for people who are looking at doing a yoga teacher training. Like, if they're a yoga student, they're loving the practice and they want to delve deep. I so often get people emailing me, Nina, I want to do a teacher training. What do you think? What is the best one around? And my first answer is like, well, what style are you practicing? What do you resonate with? And who are the teachers that you go to and you like? Because those are the people you should be asking. And I say this, one, because I do part run a yoga teacher training course called the Academy of Yoga and Ayurveda, where we have more of a spin of Ayurveda for yoga teachers wanting to, do hatha yoga and take that spiel. But it's not for everyone. So someone who comes from like a Kundalini background or an Ashtanga background, like the course is not suited for them, because that's not their preferred area of practice. What we do have often coming is people who've completed a teacher training and then want to delve into something different, you know, they might come in and do a second teacher training or possibly even their third one with us. But I really love what you're saying, kind of like with, you know, your passion is, you know, 5 o'clock on the mat doing your Ashtanga series, you know, if it's a primary series or the second series, whatever it is. But then also being true to yourself and going and doing a teacher training in that field. How important was that to you to, you know, to support your practice in doing that?
I completely agree with you that, but that's there is an alignment, and that we should honor and respect that alignment. And sometimes we want things out there, but they're not part of our soul journey, and we don't know that yet. So that whole journey for me, and it starts with yoga and carries on with Ayurveda, and it's never come from something I wanted. It's come from something that's helped me. And then someone telling me, why don't you do this? I didn't want to be a yoga teacher. I had a young baby and I was like, why? You know, like, that's not what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to like go into like corporate and make income and things like that. She's like, but just do this. And then things start opening up naturally. Or the life brings you back to that space every time you go away from it. So when she said that, the first thing I looked online, and there was that training that was matching my dates, that was Ashtanga. I've never been to that studio before. And I was like, this is so interesting. And I found myself in a course with a lot of other students that weren't on the Ashtanga road and were just trying, or like getting a teacher training. I mean, my heart is with them, and I'm very grateful to see their journey and to, I mean, the effort that they put into that practice, because it's a practice that requires a lot of dedication. But yeah, I mean, I can't speak for them because I'm not in the heart, but I'm just grateful to know that things are coming on my path in an aligned way. And so that gives me the trust and confidence to know that is the path I need to walk.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I think what I want to go into next is kind of like the path, going a little deeper into that, and how, with kind of like some of the eating disorders, how yoga helped you through that. So we'll do another little snippet in a moment, and for others to catch up. But for now, thank you so much for sharing your journey, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much.
Namaste.